Good evening, everybody. It's 9:30 p.m. on the East Coast, 6:30 p.m. on the West Coast. On a Monday, it must be time for your weekly Calamity Jane live stream. James, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. Happy Juneteenth.
Happy
Uh,
Juneteenth, a celebration of the end of one of the worst chapters in our short
yes.
history, although not the
Yeah.
not the only chapter that should be relegated to the dustbin of history.
Yeah. With all that, just been hanging out, doing stuff, hanging out with family and friends this weekend. I don't know about you, but yeah, I was kind of dragging to it a little bit. I kind of was kind of coming in on fumes for tonight's stream.
Oh, really? No, I had an epic pool party on Saturday for my friend's birthday, and then had a chill day yesterday, and then had plans today that got completely blown out of the water because for some reason my apartment complex decided on a holiday to fix the sewage pipe in my bathroom. So instead of going out and going on a hike and having fun, I ended up having to sit at home all day babysitting plumbers.
What?
So yeah,
Wow.
so that sucked. But the pipe is fixed, and theoretically, my upstairs neighbor's toilet should no longer be leaking into my apartment,
Oh my gosh.
which is
That's awful.
I think an improvement overall. Although I wish they had come tomorrow when I was working and was going to be here anyway. But you know, oh well, that's life. Why are you? Was it just? Are you just partying too hard and you're recovering on a Monday now?
I'd say so. I mean, nothing too crazy. Just hang out with family for the most part. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
nothing too insane. But yeah, just kind of you kind of get in a rhythm, like you kind of get in the rhythm of a 3 day weekend, and so you kind of sort of nonchalantly do everything in a
Mm-hmm.
way. So that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of what's happening, at least for me. But nothing like a plumbing issue or anything like that on your side. That's terrible. Having stuff leak down. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's only been going on for over a year, so it's really not like a huge commitment. Actually,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was I think it's actually not that long. I just my upstairs neighbor is an incredibly large person, very very
Mhm.
large, and I just don't think the building was really designed to support his weight. And so there's just been a series of leaks in that bathroom for the entire time I've been there, stemming from various different points. This is just the latest crack in the foundation because there's also like the subflooring from a previously completely rotted through, and that's where the original leak was from. And this new
Mhm.
one, I think his weight just cracked the main sewage line under his toilet, pure and simple, because
Is
he's
it
just
like what
so
is it
big.
hugging? Is it hugging the floors or something like that? I mean, that's just so
What's that?
yeah. Is it, I mean, are his pipes hugging the floor underneath him or something? Is
The
that
main sewage line from his toilet goes directly into the feed that goes. So I don't know how I draw the short straw here, but my apartment, the main, all of the apartments around me, all of the main sewage goes into behind my wall and goes down,
hmm,
and his toilet goes straight into the main line. And I just think his weight, like if you look at where the crack was, it just all of the compression, it looks like it
okay?
caused a crack, right? So
Wow.
I mean, I'm not staying at this apartment for much longer, and so it'll be someone else's problem soon. But it's he's so heavy, like the drywall, all the ceiling drywall is cracking, right?
Hmm.
Because he walks around and you can feel like you can hear and feel everything bending around him, and the there's the flashing, and there's everything is like kind of because of all the weight that's being put on it is sort of being compressed out and it's cracking. It's pretty crazy. I mean, he's a really really big guy. I, I've
Hmm.
never I've never had a neighbor as big as he is before. Um, it's pretty impressive actually how big he is. And yeah, I think it's causing all kinds of problems in my apartment complex, unfortunately, or for
Oh
my
man.
unit at least. But again, at this point, it's a short term problem. I will not be staying at this location for much longer. There's a whole host of other problems given our current economy, but I cannot stay here any longer.
Fair enough. Well, it's I guess as of right now, you're here and you're hanging out, so that
Yeah,
part's good.
yeah,
So
yeah. Exactly, exactly. Sorry, I didn't
yeah,
mean to get all serious on you. I just
no, it's fine. It's part of life. Life
yeah,
stuff happens. So
yeah.
um,
Anyway, so it's that problem is fixed. Now I have two giant holes, one in my wall, and a full quarter of my bathroom ceiling is missing.
yeah.
Um, so yeah,
Um,
it is a thing. And it's not even the first time I've lived in an apartment where the main sewage line collapsed
mhm.
and caused all sorts of problems for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
You have
pretty.
the bad, you get the short end of the stick.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
apartments
It's
sometimes seems
anyway.
like.
Anyway, so the
Um,
new Ninja Turtles game is phenomenal.
well, before we get into good happy stuff, yeah, not to but I'm glad you did it first because I didn't want to trivialize the issues going on life stuff, but I was going to go into some Calamity Jane stuff here.
Yeah,
So what we do, I'll jump into that.
sounds good.
So where we left off, I was kind of working. So we're kind of on the scene where um, Calamity's going to go into the bar,
Yeah,
into Mitchell's bar. And you know what? I was thinking like I want to work on this prop tonight as we're hanging out.
the bear with
So
the cigar.
the bear with a cigar. So I'm gonna do some sketches tonight, just a couple of different, just a couple of different takes. I'm actually pretty happy with this sketch of him right here,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm gonna try to do a couple of different takes and thoughts on him tonight as we hang out. So I'm already in Alias, well, whatever's called Autodesk Sketchbook or whatever it's called nowadays. I think it got taken over by somebody else, but I'll be using
Mm-hmm.
that tonight to draw. And then, yeah, but let's go back into Ninja Turtles land. I mean, you're kind of all into that, huh?
Oh yeah, no, I since I was trapped at home babysitting the plumbers, I had a lot of time to play today.
Mm-hmm.
It was not really conducive to do a lot of work with all of the sawing and the pounding and the yada yada yada.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
was just like, and so I played a bunch of Ninja Turtles. It's quite good.
Yeah, online. Everybody seems to like this game.
Yeah, yeah. The reviews are justified. The glowing reviews are definitely justified.
Yeah, and so so my concern I've heard from and nobody else's voices is a concern, but I've heard the game's short. Like, oh, you could beat it in a couple of hours. But then you were saying that there's replayability with it, right?
Well, I mean, it's yeah, it's short. There's 16 stages,
Mm-hmm.
um, and there's the story mode and arcade mode,
Mm-hmm.
and there's 7 playable characters. And in story mode, you can level up the characters and then unlocks new abilities, and you can replay the stages as much as you want. But yeah, I mean, it's ultimately it's an arcade brawler, right? And
Mm-hmm.
at a certain level, for me, I don't really want those games to drag on for like 40 different stages, right? The
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
mechanic is the mechanic, right? You have a few combos, you beat thugs up, you scroll through the stage, rinse and repeat. Um, and if that goes on for like 40 stages, if that goes on for like 20 hours, then
Yeah, I mean, it's already a repetitive game mechanic anyway.
yeah, honestly, at the end of stage 16, which is mostly just a boss battle, I was like, cool, that was about as long as I want it to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, I mean, I don't have any problems with the length. I've been going back and just playing with the different characters, taking in the animation, enjoying the gameplay. Online supports up to 6 players simultaneously, so there's a lot of fun to be had there. Um, it gets really crazy the more players you have, and it's
Mm-hmm.
super fun. Um, I don't know. I don't have any complaints, especially for the price point. I mean, it was what, $25.
Mm-hmm.
Twenty
Yeah,
five dollars, and I've gotten easily that much money worth out of it.
I was looking at the prices. So retail is $34.99,
Mm-hmm.
but because it just got for some reason they discounted on release week, and it's like you buy it for 22 digital, um, right now on the Nintendo eShop until the 23rd, I believe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
That's why I got it for the cheaper price. Um, yeah, and I had zero complaints. I mean, the price point was fine. Maybe the full retail is a little bit pricey, but generally speaking, I have had quite a good time with it, and I've not had any regrets. Unlike Outer Worlds, which
Oh,
I
jeez.
abandoned and deleted off my Switch because I knew I would never play it again. I
Mm-hmm.
gave up, man. I tried. I mean, we talked about this last week. I was
Mm-hmm.
going to give it one more try. I did, and I was like, nope, sorry. I abandoned the one quest, decided to do a different one. Great, going well. Walk into a building, get swarmed by 10 guys, and I'm dead before I even knew what happened. And I'm like, cool,
Yeah.
well, you made my decision for me. I'm on the
Yeah.
second lowest difficulty level. This is not, I'm sorry, I'm done with this.
Uh-huh.
So, and it didn't help that I had just picked up Ninja Turtles and was having an absolute blast with that, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I mean, one of the nice things about those kind of arcade brawlers is, I went over to my friend's place and another buddy came over and we all put it on, and we're all in our 40s. I mean, we watched Ninja Turtles back when it was on TV. I mean, we all loved it. So there was, I'm not a huge fan of nostalgia, but there definitely was some nostalgia elements there. But what was great is it's not, it doesn't require a huge amount of thought. I mean, if you're playing Monster Hunter, you kind of need to focus on those moment to moments beats. But in the Ninja Turtles game, you can kind of just, phone it in a little bit. So we played it, but it was almost like we were playing it in the background and we were
Mm-hmm.
just sort of reminiscing on growing up. And I hadn't
Mm-hmm.
seen one of my friends in over a month, so we were catching up with that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was just great. I mean, it's almost like back in the old days where people would come over, you'd put on your new vinyl, and then you just chat while you listen to the new music in the background. It was almost
Mm-hmm.
like that, right? There was
Mm-hmm.
something very communal about the playing together, having a good time, getting on those action moments while simultaneously just kind of enjoying the company of your friends. And, not to get too as existential, but I do feel like the modern era of games, there's something that's been lost in the translation for the most part, right?
And that translation is just hanging out, the hanging out aspect
Yeah, the
because
hanging
it's
out
more
aspect.
solitary.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everybody talks about how communal video games are, and I don't get that sense. I mean, personally, but then again,
Mm-hmm.
I remember me and my friends crowding around my tiny little 13-inch TV playing Goldeneye, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Playing four-player Goldeneye on a 3-inch by 3-inch square each, and yelling at each other for looking at everybody else's screen and cheating, and but then just kind of enjoying each other's company. And it's just, I don't know, maybe it's just because I like being around people too much, but it's just not the same when you're talk. I mean, if you don't have any other choice, talking to friends online is great and all that, but I would much rather be in the room with them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's just not. It's just not where most modern gaming is anymore.
Do you think, and we're getting that old man yelling at cloud territory now? I almost think we
That's
should just change
that's
our stream to that. I'm
that's
gonna try
literally
to,
what I do best. I mean, if someone,
but I'm gonna help you too. I mean,
yeah,
I enabled you. I kind of egg you on too, so I'm guilty of this as well. Um, but do you think that younger generation of people like they're considering camaraderie just being online. The online experience is their equivalent to couch co-op for us, or even the arcades. Because that's where, to me, arcades was where it all was at, and then it went to couch co-op, then it went to online, and they were just all. There's just a progression of just how to play with other players. But
yeah,
to me, the ideal scenario was pretty much couch co-op. I mean, with your friends. Arcade was a close second. That was fun too. Just the randos that would come in and you play against them in Street Fighter 2, for example, and
right,
that was a lot
right.
of fun. And putting a coder up there and waiting for your turn in line, it's an unheard of, for the younger generation. Doesn't think about that or.
I mean, we can go down a really deep sort of philosophical rabbit hole here, but generally speaking, I mean, I don't think there's any right or wrong here. I mean,
Yeah.
I prefer person to person contact, but
Uh-huh.
my niece and nephew, that's not been their experience with life, and so when your experience with life is fundamentally different, you don't know any better, or not better, but you just don't know any different. And so my niece talks about her friend in Australia, and I go, well, is she really your friend? You've never met her. She's like, well, of course I've met her. Yeah, because she talks to her on Discord, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So she's met her. Now, I don't, like, given my experience in life, talking to someone on Discord isn't meeting them, right? I don't
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
them. But it's just a different thing. Now, going back to old man yelling at clouds, I'm curious what this does to the nature of human interaction in the long term. given that evolutionarily human beings are extremely societal creatures, and we are creating a society of isolation in a weird way, right? The closer we get through our online communities, the farther away we get in a physical sense. So, I don't know. I don't know. There's no such thing as right or wrong. Everybody just sort of muddles through and makes the best of what they can. But from my perspective, at least, I think that Emma and JJ are missing out on a huge component of life by having in-person friends that you spend time with.
Yeah, but again, and then because of our perspective, they don't even have that to compare with, though.
No.
They know, that to them, this is it. That is social interaction,
Right.
So,
Right. Exactly.
yeah.
So I don't know. I will be long dead before anybody figures out whether technology, it as it stands, and the rate of change it's creating, is ultimately good, bad, or nothing. Right? I mean, I don't know. But I think that we are at the very beginning of a sea change in human culture, society, and maybe even evolution, right? It's an interesting thing, right? I mean, our technology has so stripped away our ability to adapt, that we're sort of faking it until we make it here, right? Like, we're not letting nature take its course anymore. We're redefining nature as we see fit. And it remains to be seen, in my opinion, whether that's a good thing or not.
Yeah.
So, there you go. There's some little existentialness for you.
Yeah, but with all that being said, though, you really like Ninja Turtles as a game.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's I'm gonna probably buy it here probably this week, and then try to get my nephews to play with me. And as far as social interaction, I'll be probably playing with them online. While I'm here in California, and they're over in Utah, or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
Doing their thing, and I don't know, try to play with the family that way.
No, I agree, and I don't want to like throw the baby out with the bathwater here. I'm not a Luddite by any stretch of the imagination, right? I mean, I think the ability to do that is a massive win. I mean, it keeps people in connection that wouldn't be able to stay connected otherwise. I mean, it would be very hypocritical of me to say it's a demonstrably bad thing when I'm literally speaking to you on that same technology, right? It's facilitating my ability to do that. So it's not that it's like a good or bad thing, but I do think that the diminishment of in-person contact could be a bad thing. I think it remains to be seen. Again, could just be old man yelling at clouds, but I do know growing up, I would much prefer to interact with a person directly than interact with them online, right? Like, for us, this is a necessity, not a preference, right?
Also, for us, though, I mean, we've hung out.
Plenty
of times.
Absolutely,
so it's different.
We have years of in-person.
Years of working together, hanging out, and, waiting in line for Nintendo Wii's.
Oh my God, that's a story.
all kinds of stuff. So
man, that was something else. Oh, it's a good memory though. Stressful.
It was fun. Yeah, but it was kind of we didn't know if we were going to get one on that day, right? I mean, we were kind of rolling the dice a little bit.
Yeah,
so that's pretty crazy.
Definitely the last time I'll ever stand in line that long for anything.
After that, no, never again.
That was never.
But it was
again.
fun though. But you know what though? Yeah, it was fun though because we're hanging out with friends and stuff like that.
Yeah,
People
absolutely.
would take shifts and go and get something or get, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was fun.
The camaraderie of the strangers in the line with you and sharing that experience with them. Yeah, and, I think that there's a lot to be said about that, and again even on Saturday, I went to a friend's pool party. I think I mentioned that. And I didn't know anybody there. Well, that's not true. I knew 2 people there, right? And there was like 20, 25, maybe even 30 people. But we were all there for the same purpose, our mutual friend's birthday party, right? And so it was like, well, we're all friends now, right? And so within minutes of getting there, we're all hanging out, we're sharing stories, and it was great. I mean, it was phenomenal. And I've had plenty of, as we all have, over the course of the pandemic, online get-togethers and that kind of stuff, and it's pales in comparison to just getting together with like-minded people, whether you know them or not, and just having a good time, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For me, I mean, I don't know. Maybe if you took JJ and Emma and you put them in that same scenario, they would withdraw completely, and it would be a terrible experience for them. And as an old man, I guess I say what a shame, but for them, it's a completely different experience, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Speaking about back to Ninjas on the multiplayer aspect of it.
Yeah.
So I know you've experimented with this. So can two people on one couch join? Could I'm either like play a session of TMNT and then join you in Georgia and join in the same game? I
have not seen anything that would preclude that.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess I'm just having trauma because of how terrible Nintendo handles their multiplayer with their flagship games like Mario Party. You know, you can't. I can play online with playing Mario Party, but only with one controller. I can have two over here, but I can join myself and then go over there. But then if there's another Switch, they can. You know what I mean? It's so absurd.
I don't think that there's anything that precludes that because you can party up at any time, whether before or after you choose the number of players that you want to play with. So presumably you can have multiple people in one console playing with other people online. That would be my guess. Although my online playing to this point has just been with strangers. When we played locally, obviously you can play 6 players on the same screen, and it's not a big deal. So I can't speak to shared online experiences, but the way the online infrastructure for the game is set up, there's literally no reason that would preclude the ability to do that, given the way it's set up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out when I buy it later on. Maybe tonight or the next couple of days.
Yeah. Just make sure you get it before the sale ends. You don't have to go in price, even if you don't play it right away.
Yeah, for sure. So I was curious about that as well.
That's great. I mean, I really enjoy it. For the most part, they really nail the sense of the '80s cartoon. It really has that feel to it. The team that made it clearly has a reverence for the '80s cartoon. Interestingly, a bit of sort of the modern aesthetic tastes creep in, and modern aesthetic tastes are very Japanese, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Which isn't a good or a bad thing. It just is. And so, in particular, like April O'Neil's in-game character design is too anime for my taste, with like the little button nose, and
it's not as faithful to the original design.
Yeah, exactly. So it's in that regard, I guess it because I don't really like anime designs that much as a general rule.
Yeah.
But it's such a minor point though. It really is just an absolute love letter to those games from the '80s and the cartoon in particular.
Yeah.
So. It's a real winner. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I've put a lot of miles on it, especially today because, again, I mean, it was too noisy to do anything productive.
Yeah.
And I didn't have anywhere to go. Yeah, exactly. So I just played the crap out of it. Leveled up a couple of characters. Completed some challenges. And...
Have you max leveled any characters yet?
Yeah, you can only max up to level 10. It doesn't take that long to max out a character. If you play through all 16 stages, then you'll max out the character.
I already heard rumors about DLC for the game too.
I've heard that as well. Yeah, nothing has been officially confirmed, but I've read an article that some hacker claims they've reverse engineered the code or whatever it is that they do.
Mined it.
And they found hooks at least hooks for the potential for DLC, but it doesn't really say much because every game is built so you can expand it these days.
Yeah, on top of that, like there's always things that they abandon at the last minute and they never see the light of day after that.
Sure. I mean, I'll tell you though, I would love it if like Usagi Yojimbo.
Yeah,
that would be.
I saw blurbs. I was like, oh man, that would be so rad if they got. But I mean, I don't know where Nickelodeon's rights are concerned with Usagi because Usagi Yojimbo is owned by another Japanese artist that was kind of just friends. I thought with
Yeah, yeah. I don't know all the IP rights around it, but
yeah, unless he sold it to Nickelodeon, but he seems like such a I mean, I don't know. Again, this is back in the '80s and '90s. He seemed like such a cool artist type. He just loved the fact that they were all hanging out and it made perfect sense. Like, yeah, of course, why not have a samurai rabbit hanging out with these guys doing stuff? And it felt very natural. And I can't remember. Did he make it in the cartoon? He did show up in the cartoon.
Oh yeah, no, he definitely showed up in the cartoon. Yeah.
That's rad.
Yeah, and and Metalhead is one of the bosses in one of the stages.
Oh, yeah.
But I'd also love it if Metalhead was a playable character.
Oh yeah, because he's conflicted, right? He becomes a good. Wasn't he Donatello's construct?
Yeah. Donatello made him, and then he got turned. Like something happened, and he became a bad guy. But yeah, no, it's really funny if you play as Donatello, when you get to that boss. There's like a fun little Easter egg where there's an extra line of dialogue where Donatello says, "Don't worry, Metalhead, I'll fix you." But that line only plays if Donatello is.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's fun.
Yeah.
That helps the replay value too. If you really want to be nerdy and play all the characters and play each stage.
When honestly, just looking at the animations, I mean, they're so lush, they're so well done, and the game is so smooth. I mean, it's kind of buggy actually. But I'm sure they'll do at least a couple of patches. There's a jumping collision bug where you'll get trapped in the air sometimes.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, and you either have to, if you're unlucky, you'll have just killed, and this has happened to me multiple times, unfortunately, because that's just how my luck works. You'll kill the last enemy, and then you'll get that bug, and then you have to quit the stage. Because the only way to get out of it is that if an enemy hits you out of that state. And so, like, you'll kill the last enemy, you'll get the little go, 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 all those and there's nothing I can do because I'm soft locked, and so you have to quit the stage and start over from scratch. That's happened to me a couple of times, unfortunately. Yeah. And then there's a bunch of crash bugs related to the online mode. I've had it crash on me 2 or 3 times while playing online.
Does it kick you completely out and you have to resync with your
hard crash? Yeah, it drops you back to the Switch OS.
So can you rejoin that session though?
It's gone because there's no like real lobby session. You just it just randomly populates a list of games you can join and you just pick from that list. So it's really a very simple lobby system. I mean, there's no lobby system. It's just a very simple game list.
Okay, I definitely got to buy it because that way I can experiment with you and I'll get it and we'll see if I can just somehow, since we're friends, on our Switches, if that makes any difference at all, or you know what I mean? I wonder.
Well, no. So when I was playing with my friend over at his place, I played online with him just locally because for whatever reason our Switches have trouble syncing up when you just do local play. So it's more stable if we do online play.
That's really funny.
It's very bizarre, but the netcode is phenomenally good. Once you're in the game, some games you play and there's as much as like a half-second lag between what you see on your screen versus what your friend sees on the other screen. But like the lag was maybe like a millisecond at most. Like it was really, really, it's really stable. It's really good. Which is cool. I mean, and it should be like it's a very simple game. There's no like if you can play Smash Brothers online with like 8 players, there's literally no reason why this game shouldn't be frame perfect online.
Yeah.
But in any case, so we played it online, and it was with friends, and in particular, as we were trying to navigate the rather obtuse Nintendo friend system, it kept crashing as we kept trying to join each other's friend games. So. It's not, and I've had it crash with playing with strangers too. So they'll definitely need to do a patch to figure some of their online connection issues out because connecting to games is causing hard crashes. So, but
well, yeah, that's a bummer. Well, regardless, I'll buy it and I'll ping you later this week. We'll give it a run. Yeah, I think I'm in a good spot here as far as our cigar bear.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'll go first this time.
Go first.
I like this. I like the first drawing out of everything so far. myself. I experiment with some of the head shapes and kind of play with that a little bit. But I do like this. But I also, what's funny is I still like
Yeah.
the initial drawing of him is probably still my favorite.
Yeah, I agree. I
So
was going to say the
I'm
exact
torn.
same thing. That initial drawing is still my favorite of all these thumbnails.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so funny. And I started playing with like it is wooden, right? So
Yeah,
I try to
yeah.
make it. I'm trying to be literal with how it being wooden and stuff like that. But yeah,
Right, right.
that one feels the best. This dude here
It
is the
still
one.
feels the best. Yeah, I agree.
That's so funny.
Hey,
So it
sometimes you
was
get it
like,
right on the first try. It's not always,
yeah,
but
which is rare,
sometimes.
especially
Yeah.
for me. That never happens. But in this case, yeah, I'm pretty happy with the initial drawing. So this is an exercise in futility a little bit. I mean, it's fun drawing them all and just kind of
Yeah.
experimenting. That part's always good. Never complete waste, but yeah, it helps you make the decision that nah. The initial storyboard sketch was still my favorite version. That's
Yeah.
real.
No, I think it works really well.
Yeah, and you're on board with it too. So
Oh,
you
yeah,
like
big
it.
time.
So there we go. That's the audience too. So yay. But yeah, I think I think I'm gonna go with that. So my intention was tonight was to decide on design, and then I was gonna try to attempt to make it in 3D next week. Go back
Okay.
on the iPad for next week. So we'll see. But
Well,
again,
at the very least, it seems like you settled on the design, and
yeah.
you got it right the first time. Although I do love like the vest and some of the accoutrement
Oh yeah,
that
yeah.
you were
That's yeah,
experimenting with.
yeah. What do you think? Like, what do you think? Like, giving him a bow tie and that little vest. Like,
I mean,
we could
it's
put
a
that
little
in
bit. I
there.
mean, it's a little bit on the nose, right? Like it's about on the nose as if you would put a fez on top of his head, right? Like
Uh,
how many fake bears have you seen with bow ties and vests? I feel like I see that everywhere.
yeah,
But I like the idea of maybe giving him a belt, or I mean, I don't know, just playing
yeah.
around with something. Um, I'm not saying no to the vest and the bow tie. I like the
You feel like you've seen it.
embellishments. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe a belt isn't the right way to go. It was just the first accessory I could think of. Maybe he has like
Hmm.
boots or gloves or I don't know, like any number of
Hmm.
decorations. Um,
No.
but yeah, I think the original one is definitively the best one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're in agreement. So original one wins in this case. We
Yeah, yeah.
have to give that
And
some thought.
then maybe nothing is the right answer on that guy too.
Yeah, yeah. Just keeping him naked,
Yeah, I'll have
butt,
to show
butt
you
naked.
offline. But I was at a restaurant earlier this week, and there was a wooden bear, and I grabbed a photo of that. So I'll show you a picture of that
Okay.
offline, and you can kind of get a sense of it. It's yeah, we'll talk about it offline, but
Cool. Cool.
yeah. So
Well, cool. Well, I think I'm at a good spot here. So I mean, we can call it for tonight's stream and
okay,
for our next exciting episode.
sounds good to me. Let's see here, James Jacob. Okay, I just sent you the photo, and we'll talk about it later. Great.
Okay.
Yeah. No, this was productive, and it happens sometimes where you were right the first time, but it's still worth taking that journey and
Hmm.
confirming that you were in fact right. I mean, it's not to go. This is a bit of a French exit here, but when they do scientific method, most times they don't seek to prove something; they
Hmm.
seek to disprove it, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if their hypothesis is this,
Yeah.
then they try to disprove that as a part of the scientific method, and when they
Hmm.
can't disprove that,
Then they settle on.
then and it becomes a proof in the negative, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's an interesting thought experiment. So what you've done here, as I rambled semi incoherently, is proven through experimentation that their first one was right. You tried to disprove that your first one was right, and ended up proving it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. We use science and art.
It's science and art, everybody. Wow, who
Yeah.
knew that this was going to be an educational show?
Oh, cool. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out and watching me, spin circles. A
Yeah,
little bit.
absolutely. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. As always, you can go to clamdyjane.rocks. It'll take you right to our Patreon site where you can become a subscriber if you so choose. Please consider doing that. Also, we do a 3-tweet story once a week. We have a Twitter. Jane Salamander is our Twitter handle. And once a week or 3 times a week, we tell a short little 3-tweet story in Calamity Jane's voice. So you can go over and check that out if you're interested as well. And otherwise, we will see you next week. Stay safe, everybody, and have a good night.
All right.
Good night.